We've all been there and made this mistake. We lose sight of some younger guys for whatever reason, and because of that, we miss the breakout. Or we just keep some older guys above them for way too long. Let's dive into some risers right now. Yo, Headliner Nation, today we're looking at the long-term value of several players that I think are rising up the rankings, or at least should be. So for those of you that play in any long-term leagues, Dynasty, Keepers, you're gonna wanna pay a lot of attention to this. And if you don't, that's okay. Maybe you'll catch a few sleepers here. Yo, let's go ahead and kick it off with James Cook. And it makes no sense to me that his current ECR is RB30. The dude is only 23 years old, and the Buffalo Bills have even said they want to try and establish the run even more this year. Do we really think Damian Harris is going to get a ton of workload over James Cook? Yeah, he might get some short yardage situations, but he's not going to be there long term like Cook will be. And think about it this way. The roster for the Buffalo Bills could be turned over in the next year or two. Diggs apparently is having some issues there in Buffalo, but he was a speculation of trade this offseason. Gabe Davis, people have said if he doesn't figure it out this year that he could be a candidate to be let go soon. And yeah, you've drafted Dalton Kincaid, but outside of that, where are your playmakers? Cook could see plenty of targets soon. So if we're investing in James Cook, we're gonna wanna do it now. And I'm personally moving him up my Dynasty rankings. Because heck, I would put him closer to the RB19 in Dynasty leagues right now. DeAndre Swift, Cam Akers, Miles Sanders, those are just a few of the names that are actually ranked in front of him right now. Even a guy like Rachaad White that has a chance this year probably isn't going to be playing in as good of an offense anytime soon as what James Cook will. And quite honestly, with all the speculation about Joe Mixon this past year, if I needed to invest in a guy long term, I would probably invest in Cook right now. I want you to keep one thing in mind though. This doesn't mean these are straight up one-for-one deals. If you were to go to somebody and say, hey, I'm going to offer you Joe Mixon for James Cook, they're probably going to tell you no. So if you're going to try and pick these guys up, you might be able to get them at a discount, but if you're trying to do one-for-one trades like DeAndre Swift, James Cook, things like that, it may not work out. I'm just talking about these guys. For long-term value, I have ranked higher. What about another running back in RHAMONDRE Stevenson? You know I love my boy RHAMONDRE in New England. Dude is currently the RB12, and you want to know what's really funny? He's only 25 years old. Tony Pollard, who is several spots above him, is a year older and coming off a major injury. They've already released James Robinson this offseason, so if you really thought that he was going to be a detriment to Steven's success, you're wrong. Get out of here. And if you're looking at a guy like Pierre Strong and you say, oh, he's going to come in and take over RHAMONDRE. No, he is not. He's going to help him. He's going to give him some plays off. He's going to be able to spell him, maybe help in the passing game a little bit. But RHAMONDRE Stevenson is the guy. And in the past where you've said, oh, but Bill Belichick loves to use multiple running backs, look at the roster. Who do they have that really will take significant touches away from Stevenson and be just as, if not more successful? For me personally, I would move RHAMONDRE Stevenson all the way up to RB5. Call me crazy, I don't care. I would take him over a 28-year-old Austin Eckler right now that had some contract issues this offseason. I already mentioned Pollard. I would take him over him. Josh Jacobs, that is a guy that, who knows, maybe he's not even in Las Vegas next year. I think he's a more complete back than a Travis Etienne, and I'm sure as heck going to take him over a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs, who I absolutely love, but to have Jahmyr Gibbs at RB6 right now seems a little too high. And Kenneth Walker as well, because with Kenneth Walker, you've got a guy that could see his upside limited by a Zach Charbonnet. Zach Charbonnet is closer to Kenneth Walker than what Pierre Strong is to RHAMONDRE Stevenson. So if we're investing in RHAMONDRE Stevenson, he's coming off a good year and his price tag is only going to get higher. Let's kick it on over to wide receivers, and Michael Pittman right now is the wide receiver 21. And I get that, because if you're not invested into the long-term success of Anthony Richardson, or you don't believe in it, you're not going to believe in Michael Pittman. But Bang, baby, sign me up. Give me Anthony Richardson to Michael Pittman for the next several years. Pittman is only 25 years old, and quite honestly, I would probably move him up to something along the lines of wide receiver 13. I think this connection with Anthony Richardson is going to be really, really good. And one of the reasons why is because of people keeping an eye on the RPO. Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson in the backfield are going to take tons and tons of attention to make sure that they're not ripping off big plays. And when you look at the weapons around Michael Pittman, none of them are established or have the type of ceiling that he does as a complete pass catcher. If you haven't watched any of my recent videos, including the one that we just dropped on Monday, you need to go look at it, because then it will make sense why I am shooting George Pickens up all of my rankings. Currently sitting at the wide receiver 34 position in the Dynasty ECR, this guy is only 22 years old, and some of the statistics he showed, especially in the deep ball last year, absolutely show potential breakout on the way. Now, people are going to be worried about him if they don't like Kenny Pickett. That actually makes a lot of sense, because Kenny Pickett did not look good last year. We don't know if he has that type of upside, but we went down the field and we at least looked at George Pickens quite a bit last year. And again, if that doesn't make sense to you, my video on Monday, massive upside, massive plays, you got to go look at that. So because of Kenny Pickett, I am going to try and tame myself a little bit on my excitement here, because I probably would only bump him up to about wide receiver 22. I would definitely put him over teammate Deontay Johnson. I think he has way more big play potential than what Johnson does. Braylon Burks and Marquise Brown are in front of Pickens right now, and I just like the outlook of his team more than the other two guys. Jahan Dotson, I would go ahead and move him behind George Pickens. There's a lot more draft capital invested in Kenny Pickett than Sam Howell, so if Howell doesn't end up working out, he's not going to have nearly as long as a leash as what Pickett will have. And rookies like Flowers and Addison, I don't hate them by any means, but I don't know how you can put those rookies over a guy like George Pickens, given what we saw from him last year. Yo, but before I talk about any other players, I gotta remind you all to make sure you click on the link in the description below, head on over to our website, and pre-order our 2023 Fantasy Football Draft Guide. In this moment, I can guarantee you that this is the best draft guide that we have ever put together, and you're going to get the best value, better than anything else that you can find on the market, for only $21.99. That's absolutely insane given the amount of information you will get. So make sure you get that pre-ordered right now, so when it drops, you're ready to roll. Last guy I want to talk about is TJ Hockenson, and you know what? This is going to sound like a hot take. Right now, he's the tight end 4 in ECR, and you're going to be saying to me, Kyle, if he's tight end 4, how could he go any higher? Well, let me do one better for you. TJ Hockenson, I think people forget, is only 25 years old. His first few years in the league with Detroit were an absolute bust. And now that he is in Minnesota, he is in a much better situation, conducive to what he can do. If you were to say to me, Kyle, you're going to be investing in any tight end over the next several years, given what they've already done and the outlook on what they could do, who would you go with? I would say TJ Hockenson. And yes, I would take him over a 33-year-old Travis Kelce that's probably 1 or 2 years away from retirement. And yes, I would take him over Mark Andrews. He's got a younger tight end, Isaiah Likely, right behind him. Will Baltimore really spend to keep Andrews in town? And yeah, I get the guy is still young, but Kyle Pitts is not in a better situation currently than what we find TJ Hockenson. Kyle Pitts is tied to Desmond Ridder, who I believe in and I think is a pretty good quarterback, but I also know that he's not good enough that he is completely safe and that they don't try to go another direction. And also with the addition of Bijan Robinson, the run game is going to be even stronger, and we know they want to focus on that. So how much volume will Kyle Pitts actually be getting? All right, Headliner Nation, I just wanted to break down a few names that are currently rising in my rankings for those of you in Dynasty Leagues. And again, this is long-term value. We're just not looking at 2023 right now. We are looking in the next 2 to 4 years. And these are the guys that I think are going higher up the board right now and that we need to be focusing on if you're looking to improve your team, get younger, or get ahead of a breakout. Hit that like button for me, subscribe if you're new here, and leave me a comment down below and let me know if you need to see more Dynasty content out of us, because if so, I gotta start doing some more. Peace out, Headliner Nation. Stay safe and healthy, and I'll catch y'all on the next episode of the Fantasy Headliners.